That's the first task. If you're an animal in another life, what would that animal be? So after you've thought the animal, kindly type in the animal in the chat bar. Type in that animal and why that animal. I'm giving you 2 seconds to type in the animal and then you'll write why later. But type in the animal. Everybody type in the animal. Everybody type in the animal. I think everybody has typed. Most people have keep typing, keep typing. Now the next challenge is I want everybody to turn on their mics and then illustrate that animal. For example, mine is the chicken. So this is, okay? So that's mine. Don't ask me why the chicken. It's because it's delicious, but yes. So mine is the chicken. So that's my illustration of the animal I'd like to be in another life. So everybody else turn on your mics and then illustrate the animal that you like to be in another life and then give us an impression of that animal. I want to see it on the people's. The people who are not doing, I want to see guys doing it. If it's a dog, you can do anything. Good. So going back to the reasons which guys are giving for the animal they chose. I can see Louis Muleman illustrated giraffe. Try your luck. Try your whatever you want to try. Just try it as long as represents the animal, you're good to go. So I can see Louis saying giraffe because I want to always be able to see far ahead. Then there's who else? I can see, is it Anthony? Yeah, saying panda because he wants to eat, sleep, and repeat. Nice one, Anthony. I can see Njoki Maora dove, very pretty bird and always focused. So the key message in this icebreaker is we always have deficiencies in our own spaces, in our own lives. So it's up to us to achieve them. So you can see like somebody saying he wants to be a giraffe, he wants to look wide and look far. Dove wants to look pretty. So there's always room to improve and become what you want. So that's basically the key message in this icebreaker. Thank you very much, Christabel. Back to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Mwika, for that icebreaker. And that was just to take us away from the serious mood that comes with the digital space and all that. So thank you very much, Mwika, for that. And for those who are joining us, who joined us later, as I had introduced myself, my name is Christabel Letondo, and I am a volunteer with the Heroes for Change program. We've been running a couple of webinars from the month of August. That is from the International Youth Day 2020 up to date, where this is going to be our last webinar, and we're going to focus more on tapping into the digital opportunity. We have various speakers with us, and we're looking forward to inspiring our audience to dare to dream differently, away from the traditional opportunities that we have, how we are going to harness the power of social media and digital platforms to do good for your communities and for yourself as an individual. And so our objective for this webinar today is just that we're looking forward to reigniting the passion of young people and inspire them to initiate and run social impact projects or development programs that can assist them, but through leveraging on the digital tools. We have a lot of digital tools that today, but we see that young people do not really utilize them to the positive or to the advantageous side of it. And that is why we brought forth this webinar today with very wonderful youthful speakers that are going to take us through our topic for the day. And so I'd like to introduce our panelist for the day. That would be Anthony, Laura, and Washington. Kindly, if you can just say what you do and why you are here in just a minute, then you can kick this off. Washington, we'll start with you.
Hi, I hope everyone can see me and hear me clearly.
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
My name is Washington Mageto. I'm the group chairman of Magtech. Magtech is a digital security company where we do automation, access control, surveillance, cybersecurity, and digital forensics. Of course, Magtech houses a couple of other businesses that we are doing. That is the Transnorth Premium Logistics, which runs Flatdel.com. Flatdel's generally connected kitchens directly to consumers with integrated delivery mechanisms. So we offer meals Senior 150, most of the meals. Then we have iTips Ventures, which still falls under Magtech Group. iTips is a digital an IT consultancy company where we develop websites, softwares, do many other things. And then we have EPD, that's electronics, phone, and data. We tried doing insurance with that particular company, but haikuwork. So tuko hapa kusema mostly how digital space generally can work and not work, or which factors play in. But typically that is what I run. Besides that, I'm a director in many other non-profit organizations where we just, reach the least, lost, and the last in our communities. So practically, that's what I do. And
okay, thank you so much, Washington, for that. That's really commendable. At a young age, all that you're doing in the digital space. Laura, can you tell us what you do? And yeah.
Hi, Laura Nani. I am a student at the University of Nairobi pursuing Bachelor of Commerce. I'm a second year student, and I'm a YouTuber, and that's what I do. Yeah, I do YouTube, and I'm a student.
Thank you so much, Laura. Anthony.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Kagure. I am a content creator, I'm a storyteller, and an aspiring digital marketer. I see myself as a creative. My purpose is to add the human touch in automated technology. Yes, and I specialize with various technological landscapes, such as the Facebook family of apps, Google, and WordPress. Yes, and that's basically me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Anthony, for that. And thank you so much, Laura and Washington, for giving us a gist of what you do and your experience in the digital field. So we'll just jump right into our plenary session. And to our audience, kindly feel free to share your questions on the chat facility. We'll be able to address them during the question and answer session. And I hope that you're going to meet your expectation through the content that is going to be shared by our speakers. So starting off with the Washington, given that you've shared with us your journey on the digital field, and we all know that the digital industry is quite broad, like even as you've been sharing on the webinar poster on Come and Learn About Digital Opportunities, you see, it's kind of diverse. That's the digital industry. It's broad. What are some of the disciplines or aspects of the digital industry? If you could share with us, kindly.
Sorry, I didn't understand the last part of the question.
If I can come up again, kindly. The digital industry is quite broad, right? What are some of the disciplines of that digital industry?
By disciplines, you mean the key things that revolve around the digital industry?
Yes.
That is the likes of technology, technoscience, marketing. Of course, people have spoken about content marketing. All that falls under, the entire digital space per se, if we speak about digital space. but basically to be able to, narrow it down into a layman. These are just technological aspects that different people are putting in to be able to, ease the way we do things. I'd want to go to Mombasa. How do I proceed from here? I go to my phone, log on to, the SGR, whatever site or whatever. I key in my details, book, pay my ticket. I don't live where I'm seated. And when the day that I'm traveling, beckons, I hail one of the taxis and, head to the SGR, take the SGR to Mombasa, hail another taxi service too. So typically, it's just making what we will have done much more easier as opposed to how we struggle. So just in a nutshell of, reduction of what really technology in this particular context is.
Okay, thank you so much, Washington. Even as the way we are gathered here, we are being interconnected through the various remote places that you are and where I am. All this is it's being brought about by the digital aspect of it. And as Washington puts it, that digital industry, it's broad. It can be applicable in the hospitality industry, in the education industry, aerospace, and all that, even in the businesses field. So just moving forward to Laura. Washington had mentioned that marketing is part of the digital aspect that is in line with the business industry in the digital space. How would you describe? I'm saying that Washington had rather mentioned that marketing is part of the digital industry that is in line with the business and marketing. How would you describe digital marketing, given that you're a YouTuber and you've been in the digital marketing field? How would you describe digital marketing?
Okay, personally, I just describe it as utilizing the internet to like market, to promote products and services. And yeah, it's just basically the internet and I don't know, yeah.
I'll push it to, thank you so much, Laura. I'll push it to Anthony to probably give us a more context on digital marketing.
Okay, thanks, Christabel. I'll try to simplify it and make it as simple as possible for us to understand. So we first start off with marketing. Marketing is just physically identifying needs and how to meet them. Each of us has needs that we require for our daily life. So marketing is about just knowing what you require and how do we meet them. So digital marketing is just knowing how to meet your needs in a digital way and trying just to, because you see digital marketing just streamlines marketing and makes it better for us to understand how we can meet your needs and meet them. I think in a very simple way, that's digital marketing.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And I know I threw you under the bus on that because you're one person who's been working on the digital space in the marketing aspect. And so still back to you, if you could kindly share with us your interest on the digital space so that it can encourage other young people to try and tap into those opportunities. What are your interests? Why are you in the digital space?
So firstly, professionally, I'm a marketer. That's what I study. And particularly for this year, I have been able to establish myself digitally, especially in this year, which obviously, as just for everyone else, it was accelerated by the pandemic. So I asked myself, for me as a marketer, what can I do to differentiate myself in marketing and to move over with times? Because as we know, technology and digital is always evolving, it's dynamic. So the answer to that was digital marketing. So for that one, I just trying to see what skills can I pick up, what competencies can I adopt to be able to at least even get an income from them and also add value to whatever organization or whatever activity that I want to do as an individual or even for other people.
Oh, thank you so much, Anthony, for that. As a young person and then trying to explore the digital spaces, that's quite commendable. And moving on to our second part, this goes to Washington. You know that the statistics shows that Kenya is among the top 3 countries that are digitally active. You know, people are on WhatsApp, people are on Instagram, people are on LinkedIn and all that. We spend more than 12 hours per day just being on the digital platforms that we have. What culture prevents us from converting these to digital advantages as young people? What culture prevents us from converting these to digital advantages?
One of the things that I know in East Africa or rather sub-Saharan Africa is that we are digitally advanced. We are way digitally advanced, but then we cling quite a lot to culture. And by clinging quite a lot to culture, I mean the slightly higher generation, the generation that came before us, who tend to be controlling most of the things. So it takes a very long time to actually convince people that this is good for you and this other way that you're using is a bit technically hard. Take an example. If you were to actually start something right now and you take it to someone who's slightly older, and by older I mean 40s and above, they will definitely ask you, of your age and immediately doubt what you're about to do based on your age set. So it tends to bring in the aspect of the older generation clinging to, the past methods of doing things. I remember there was a time we were actually supposed to do digitize a particular system for quite a particular company. And the first thing they asked us was, what is it about what we have that does not resonate with what you're about to bring us? And why do you think we need you? You see, when you're actually employing the skills of, or rather the digital skills, or you want to digitize things of that particular sort, in my expectation, I would have expected you as a company to be able to have realized what you needed and things of that particular sort. So I think the aspect of clinging to the past, the older generation, and the biggest part that plays, I think, a rigid rule is our curriculum system. So how we go through our curriculum education tends to show you or rather mold you towards a particular path as opposed to giving you the ability to be flexible. So I think the flexibility in Africa generally is where the entire problem is. But I know the digital skills can be adopted by the younger generation.
Yeah, exactly. I greatly concur with you on those 2 aspects on the culture that we have as, I wouldn't say as Africans, but as human beings in trying to shift to change. You see, most people fear change. So when the digital disruption came by, you see that most people were clinged to the traditional aspect, find it hard to take advantage of the digital opportunities that lies in the world today. So I agree with you. Culture is one aspect, and also the curriculum. I'd say, as young people, the curriculum that you are learning, we see that there is the theoretical aspect that we're being taught about the digital fields and the digital world, but there isn't much of the practicality bit of it. Like as young people, we're not taking it upon ourselves to go and explore what is it that they're talking about in the digital aspect. How can I bring technology to the closest, to the nearest things that I work on? You see, so some of those factors are what are inhibiting us from fully exploring the advantages in the digital space, which lies, and there are quite a lot. So just leading to that, I'll hand it over to Laura, and I'd like to know what are some of those digital opportunities that we have, and how can young people tap into them? Given that you're also a YouTuber, what are some of those digital opportunities? Back to you, Laura. Laura. Probably as she checks on her technicality bit, probably I'll just move on to Anthony and just try to see. Washington has talked about change and the curriculum that we have, which are inhibiting us from fully exploring the digital world. Given the ever-rising digital platforms we have today as compared to 10 years ago, what are some of the key skills that young people can acquire from these spaces? What are some of the key skills that young people can acquire from these spaces? I'm back to you, Anthony.
Okay, thanks, Christabel. Firstly, I think before you identify and know what skills you want to pick up, you first need to do a situational analysis of yourself. Let me pick myself, for example. I'm a marketer, so I need to look at the skills which I need to pick up which complement with what I do. If, for example, you do architecture, what digital skills can you pick up which are supposed to help you? So you first identify the skills that you need. If it's for me, I need the digital marketing skills. And another important thing is that you need to have an interest in it. You need to have passion for it. Because at the end of the day, this is something which maybe you will take up for a long-term period of time. So it's something that you need to make sure that you put a lot of energy into it. And then secondly, there are different organizations, there are different technological platforms which offer these skills. For example, Facebook have their program. We have Google, which has digital skills for Africa. We have Ajira Digital by the Kenyan government, where they've partnered with Coursera, where you can you can go and see which skills that you want to take up, and they also give you modules on how you can be able to do them. And now for that, you have to dedicate time, you have to dedicate resources. And the good thing is Google is always there for us. So you can, for most of the time, you can do it for free. That's the beauty of digital skills. The skills I've been able to pick up, it's not that I've gone to a school. I've focused with the resources which I have, going to Google, picking up these free courses. And then secondly, after you've gone through that period, you've achieved proficiency for a period of time, you need to now acquire certification, because at the end of the day, you need to know, people need to know that you're skilled in this. So certification is that if, for example, you do finance and you've done a data analytics skills training, you can do the IBM certification, where you go and they test you out to see, are you really competent as you say? And the good thing about these certifications is that they differentiate you and they also expose you a lot. So, and also they challenge you to think outside the box. And then thirdly, after that, after maybe you have a certification, it is important that you practice your skills. So for instance, for me, as Christabel said, I have been volunteering for different organizations, Heroes for Change being one of them. It gives me such a good platform to practice the skills which I've been learning, because at the end of the day, you need to get this practical aspect of it rather than the theoretical part. So you can choose to volunteer, but the key thing is always make sure that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Gain as much and also make sure that you're offering to that organization, to that individual. And then the last step, which I think is very important, at the end of the day, we wouldn't want us to pick up these skills and they are not advantageous to us. You need to make sure that you're able to monetize the skills that you have. If you're a software developer, is there a way that you can do this as a freelancer? Can you pick up formal employment? Yeah, and if you're, for example, you're an architecture and you have maybe designing skills, can you be able to monetize them and make sure that at the end of the day, you're getting some coins in your pocket? Yes, and I think that if you're able to do that, you'll be able to maximize these digital skills, so to say. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Anthony. And I'd like to take it back to the audience, just for you to think about it, like, what skills do you have? let me assume you've done education, you are a teacher, you have teaching skills, right? And how can you bring the digital aspect in it? You see, like currently with the COVID-19, we've seen that students are moving from the traditional classes to the online classes. Do you have those skills to conduct your classes or to teach your students digitally, to host this virtual setting that you are doing, to host those classes remotely? Do you have those skills? So back to our audience, I'd like to say that try and identify the skill that you have and try to see, does it have the digital aspect? If it doesn't have the digital aspect, how can you bring that aspect into it? And even if it has the digital aspect, do you as a young person have those skills? And as Anthony says that in order to acquire those skills, there are a number of online courses which are normally free. You go and upskill yourself, you get certification, and then you go and practicalize it. So to our audience, that is something to ponder about. And also as you think about it, kindly share your questions on the chat box. I will be able to respond to them during the question and answer session to our panelists of the day. And so just kindly going back to Washington, what are those opportunities that you would say are there for the young people in the digital space? What are those opportunities that you would say are there for the young people in the digital space?
Thank you. There is something that Anthony had mentioned, and I think I'd pick up from there as I progress to the question you've asked me.
It's okay.
Anthony had mentioned that are there skills you can actually learn and be able to seek for employments, practice them, and the likes. I believe, Anthony, did I mention correctly? You can nod. Now, worldwide, we are actually moving from a full-time employment to a gig economy, where most companies prefer employing freelancers as opposed to taking someone full-time. Right now, most of the things that we are actually doing, or rather the businesses that I'm actually running, the people who manage my social media are not seated with me in the office. They're not. We hire people who are actually doing freelance. So the people who do social media, there are those who do, how do you call it? The likes of Kina Noni, who do YouTube content and advertisements. There are those guys, we call them what, influencer marketers and the likes. So it tends to boil down into perfecting your skill and being able to identify a niche for you to employ that particular solution. So coming to the available skills that are needed, the current economy actually requires us to have skills in social media marketing, content creation, copywriting. We need programming. We need data science, which is becoming the next big thing. So if you're actually able to do to learn things to do with data collection, data analysis, generally data science, you'd actually be able to solve a problem that almost every other industry has. And then the general digital skills that are needed, you know, the bits of kidogo programming, kidogo graphic designs. And you see, nowadays, you don't even need to know how to use Photoshop to be able to do graphic designs. Huh? You need maybe a free account with Canva, another free account with shark.com for videos. You need another, you know, those free accounts, the likes of remove.bg, you know, where you drag and drop images and it removes the entire background of the images and things of that sort. So you just need a few skills here and there. And most of them you do not need a degree for it. You don't need a certificate for you to be able to do these things. But I know, I can assure you that people will pay you dearly to be able to actually do a single graphic design. I know the industry standard of one simple logo cost between 10,000 to around 30, 35, 40 there. That is some quite substantive amount of money that if you perfected the graphic design, you can actually be making constant income for not only one particular person, but you can replicate it. I know Heroes for Change have a website. They practically need to maintain the website. You have t-shirts that needs to be printed. So t-shirt takes a graphic designer and someone else to print them. Of course, we need people who can actually identify the sources of particular commodities and the end users of these particular commodities. So if you can actually identify someone who knows, or rather who sells t-shirts, and then you know someone else who prints t-shirts, that by itself is a skill, and it's uniquely required in the current economy. So there is quite a lot that you can actually do in this particular digital economy, and most of them I believe can actually be done remotely. You don't really need to even have a registration per se to be able to do things.
Exactly. Thanks, Washington, for that. We also, even as we convene here, we all see that we are all connected remotely. So most of you in the workspace, I mean, things are shifting towards the digital world. Like you can be somewhere and you're working remotely, and you get value for your skills, you get value for your time and all that. So thank you so much, Washington, for that. And also, still just to echo on what Washington says, I realize that among our audience, yes, we have various talents. Not everyone can actually be a marketer or probably a graphic designer. But what I would advise is that try and identify the skill that you have and try and see where you can bring the digital aspect into it. How can you make that skill move from the traditional to the digital aspect? Which digital thing can you bring forward to that can enable you as a young person gain skills and practicalize on it? So thank you, Washington, once again for that. At least has given us a bit of context and background on how we can tap into those opportunities, and the opportunities, the way we can position ourselves for them, for those opportunities. Thank you so much, Washington, for that. I'll move on to Anthony. Just a parting shot from him. The future is digital. The way people say, a disclaimer, the future is female. And now for our case, given that we're talking about the digital world, the future is digital. How would you agree with this statement? This is in line with the COVID-19. The future is digital. Back to you.
Okay, the future is digital always seems as an interesting statement to me. I don't see it as the future is digital because we're already in the future, so to speak, if we are talking digitally. We have been in the future since the beginning of the century. But now, because humans, we are always creatures of habit, we always have that status quo and we don't want it to be disrupted. In some way, we are always in denial. We want our lives to go on just as they were. We don't want anything to change. So we are always in denial. But now what COVID has done, it has snapped us out of that denial. And now we've had to confront that we're already in the future. We've had to confront that we need to know how, as Washington said, employment has moved from the formal one to now where we have the gig economy and the freelancers. COVID-19 has just accelerated that change, though it's something which has been happening, but we have been indifferent to it. For me, I was also affected by that. For me, in my mind, I was like, I'm looking for formal employment. Once I go there, I do my job, blah, blah, blah. But now I've had to realize that I need to pick up skills to be able to differentiate myself as a person, and now to be able to look for ways where I can make change using the skills which I have acquired. And then the other thing about the digital and tech, it is there for us. It is there to make our lives easier, and we need to just acknowledge it. And the beauty is that, or rather a challenge which we always assume, is that technology is always fast evolving. Some companies such as Nokia, let's say 5 or even 10 years ago, they were the in thing. Most likely, some of us will be logging into this call with a Nokia phone. But right now, look, if we were to say that everyone says, what phone are you using right now? We would have different brands. And the most likely thing is that 5 years from now, if those companies which seem to be the market leaders right now, if they do not evolve, we'll be using different phones come that time, or maybe we won't be using phones. So that just reinforces the theory that it is ever evolving. So don't get comfortable. Just know that you need to, even when you acquire these skills, you need to always check up, you need to always upskill them to make sure that you are moving with the times, which is just basically what COVID has shown us. It's a blessing in disguise.
Thank you so much, Anthony. You've mentioned on Nokia, and then I remembered, like, before COVID, Google Meet, a teleconferencing tool, now like Zoom, it has been in existence since Google has been in existence. But you see that most of us came to know about Google Meet, Skype, I think 6 months ago. So that shows that the future is not actually digital. The future is not actually the future. We are living in the digital world. So there are a lot of things which are happening behind the back, which you are not aware of. So thank you so much, Anthony, for that. For the audience, is there any question? I'll give an opportunity for one. Any question, any comment, you can drop it on the chat, even as we proceed. We're almost winding up, and I'd like to finish it up with Washington. I'd like to know, given that, excuse me, given that he's in the marketing field, in the insurance, and he's actually utilizing on the digital space, we know that COVID-19 brought about disruption to all of us. And I'd just like to know from his perspective, how did COVID-19 change his story? Did you have to shift into, just share with us, how did COVID-19 change your story as a digital enthusiast? What are the tools that you had to put in place and the contingency plans that you had?
That's a good question. Frankly, COVID-19 shut down a lot of things. We had to shut down our offices. We had to release most of our employees in different businesses that we are actually running. And we got into massive debts, we were owing everyone money, and everyone was owing us money. And so it was a whole chain of everyone who owes every other person. And, the government is a backdrop of every other thing. So we had to now swap the way we do things. Of course, one particular aspect of our business, which is iTips, was the only one that was actually operating before that and still was able to operate within more or less the same. And what iTips does is, software development, website development, and marketing, IT consultancy. So practically most of the people by the time Corona hit, they realized they needed to now adapt to technology. So now we had to now convert people from, the paper systems to paperless systems. There are people we had to move from their model of operations to e-commerce based operations, where we integrate them with payment systems and whatever. Quite a lot. So that is what made us survive. That is actually the part of the business that made us survive. And the electronics, phone and data company, that particular company did not really survive COVID, and neither did Magtech as well. So most of them, we had to now converge resources and be able to now focus them into one thing. And we realized within this COVID time, especially that time when we were on a lockdown, there was a problem with access of food, especially fresh farm produces from, farms. So we had to create a system that will connect farmers directly to consumers. We created another system that connected, because we realized so many people are cooking from their homes to generate money for themselves. So we created platdel.com to connect small and medium kitchens. Hawa watu wanapika toka nyumbani. We connect them directly to the people who need these particular meals. And most of the meals we were selling them at 150 and below. And so we had now a delivery mechanisms, and we will be able to roll this properly next year. But so far it's operational. So we had to now, with the guys when we released, the people we released to go back home, we took them back, but now on contractual basis, where we pay you per what you deliver, and we assign you particular roles on what you have to do. So basically, COVID actually showed us that it's easier for everyone to actually work from home. We do not really need to converge in the office and do things. We have collaborative tools, the Trellos, Google Keeps, and the likes. We have, of course, shared documentations. We have one that we've developed, but we still use the Google Drives and the likes to be able to, collect all company information into one particular place. So we've tried evolving with the current situation, as it were.
Yeah, thank you so much, Washington, for that. It also reminds me that whenever there is a problem or there's an issue, there must be an opportunity for that, an opportunity in that particular problem. It might be an opportunity to change or to solve that particular problem. And thank you so much for sharing a story on how COVID-19 impacted your organization and how you are able to shift into the digital aspect more. And so just the very last one to Anthony. And before that, there was a question on the chat on from Dorothy. She was requesting on sharing any platforms for free online courses. In this aspect, I'd say on the digital, I suppose. She was requesting on the digital online courses. And there are a number of courses which Anthony has shared over there. And also courses on social impact programs like the one that Heroes for Change does. You can actually acquire them from the Yali network, as Mwika has shared also on the chat. So finalizing it with Anthony, it's just a question on the ethical practices and policies in the digital industry. What are some of the practices that we're supposed to echo as young people as we shift into the digital space, especially in the digital platforms? What are some of those ethical practices that we need to observe?
Okay, the technological and digital space, if I could figuratively put it, I would symbolize it with air. Air is all around us. You cannot distinguish yourself. So even the way we usually say, like the way we are saying that I need to get in the digital space, I need to do this, you're already in the digital space in the same way that you're breathing air. It is already with us. Most likely the first thing you did when you woke up is that you took your phone. You did something, just something involving technology. So that just reinforces that it is already with us. On the ethical issues, ethics, I see it as something which doesn't change. It is not, we don't say that it applies in this situation, it doesn't apply in this situation. The same way it applies in my daily life, the same way it applies as I'm talking to you. There are some forms of etiquette that I've had to implement. It's the same way that it applies in technology and also in the digital space. The same way you're told before you post on social media, think about the effect that it will have. You cannot distinguish it. It's already part of our life, and that's what we need to acknowledge. And adding on to that, for example, let me pick out a platform such as a platform which I have done, I have some experience in. Let's say, for example, Facebook. Facebook have some specific policies that are specific to them, which apply when you are maybe doing marketing on Facebook, or you're there as a developer, or you're there as a person who's utilizing the tools that they offer. And that's why I was reinforcing on getting certification, because, for example, Facebook have some specific certifications for marketers or even developers on Facebook. Once you're able to go through those certifications, you're able to understand what they require of people on Facebook, and you'll also be able, now you can also use that to consult for other people who maybe don't have that awareness. So those are two ways I will comment on the ethical aspect of technology and digital.
Yes, thank you so much, Anthony, for that. I'm also just pushing it back to our audience. We say that whatever we do, the internet never forgets. So the aspect of ethics, it might not only fall to the company bearers, but to you as an individual. Like 10 years from now, we'll be able to pull out a post, a tweet that you shared, So in as much as we are trying to position ourselves into the digital space, the digital platforms that we have, we need to consider the repercussions that comes with probably not branding ourselves well or doing unethical practices therein. So thank you so much, Anthony, for that. And just a comment from the chat box from Esther Claudia Mugaki. She says that there's actually no challenge that has no solution. What you all need is just the right direction and the right motivation to try. And which, yes, it's actually true. You cannot know if there's a solution if you don't actually try. It's a matter of trying. So thank you so much, Esther, for that. And thank you so much for our panelists. That will bring us to the end of our plenary session. And thank you so much for the feedback that you've provided, for the knowledge that you've shared. I'd like to push it to the audience. If there is any other comment or question, you can kindly share with us. Even as you drop it on the chat box, I'll be able to respond. Meanwhile, I'll hand it over to Eliud, who will be able to share with us about the Heroes for Change webinar journey that we've had since August, what lies next, and what do you need to do to join the Heroes for Change program and all that. Back to you, Eliud.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christabel. I'm hoping that you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Just confirm.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. So yes, again, I appreciate everyone who made time to join this session. And yes, we've been doing this for a while now. But just before I get into the details, I know we may have people who are new, like this is the very first time you're joining this webinar organized by Heroes for Change. And probably you came across the information on the social media platforms and you don't really know what Heroes for Change is all about and what we do and how we do it. So just allow me in 3 minutes or less to briefly share a slide presentation of who we are and what we do, just briefly and quickly. So yes, Heroes for Change it's an organization that is service-based and it just harnesses the power of purpose-driven young people. And they are drawn across universities in Kenya. These young people have the resource of time, social capital, and trust. So meaning they are really trusted by the communities. And so we train them and they deliver the social impact projects and programs in their communities. And we make sure we do this at low cost. And this is only achieved through leveraging on the power of technology. And I'll just probably share the technologies that we've been able to leverage on so far. So yes, our main objectives are our actually key areas that we focus on, which are the 4 SDGs that you can see, have good health and well-being. So most of our programs are anchored around these SDGs. The SDGs are the Sustainable Development Goals. I also have the SDG number 12, which is responsible consumption and production. We have SDG number 6 and SDG number 8. So all our programs that we come up with and that heroes who are young people across the country help in deploying to the communities are anchored around those SDGs. And this is what we've been able to do. In our first year, we were able to recruit 100 heroes and they were able to reach a total number of 180,660 lives. These are actually lives being touched by our messages around different areas, being hand washing or on hygiene and others on nutrition. And so in the second year, we took it even further and recruited around 342 heroes, and they were able to reach 742,000 people. So these are lives being changed, and these are young people making impact in their communities. And so that's really explains why we need to keep doing this. So maybe your question you may be having is, you as a young person, how can you do more? So of course, the first thing is you can give time and resources towards volunteer programs. You can volunteer with us, Heroes for Change, or any other volunteer organization and programs around your community so that you're actually able to reach out to your community. Remember, as young people, we are the most active lot, and just not on social media or digitally, even physically speaking, like on the ground, we're also very active. And so we can actually capitalize on that and deliver these social impact programs. Also be available to be trained. Again, we just know that when you're coming fresh from university, you just probably have the paper, the certificate. It can't unlock so much out here. And so be available to be trained. And of course, training, you can also be trained. You can even do personal training online. As our speakers mentioned, we have a lot of tools online that you can actually unlock information and just online training programs. And so just make sure you're trained so that whenever you find passion in something, get trained fast so that you make sure that what you're actually giving to the community is the right thing. Also be involved, especially in the digital campaigns. Now, as Christabel mentioned, one of the key things that social media has done for us is actually amplifying our messages. So even you as a person, when you join a particular cause or a project, social media can do the same for you. So join the digital campaigns and just spread the message. It happens that many people in sub-Saharan Africa are actually connected to WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. And so that means whenever you share your content out there, to be able to reach so many people. So you can do that. And of course, there is always something you can unlock from the program and from just participating in these programs. If you were to volunteer with us, the Heroes for Change, you'll be able to unlock career progression and employment opportunities at the end. I know that is something you need most, especially when you're graduating and you just don't know where to go next. That's the biggest headache. And so we make sure we do that. And just before you unlock those career opportunities, that employment, we always need to upskill you because as I said, your degree certificate, your diploma certificate, or whichever certificate you have is not enough. You always need to get trained and upskilled, and that's what we do, and we make sure that you're actually fit for the job market. We also nurture and develop your talents and innovations. Now, one thing I know about young people is they are thinkers, and great thinkers for that case. You'll meet a young person who will tell you of the solutions he has for the many problems that exist in the society. So besides just us giving you the platform to actually try out those solutions, we also connect you to the mentors that are able now to connect you to the real spaces of, if you're passionate about, maybe say like Anthony said, in digital marketing. So we have mentors in that field that are able to train you and mentor you so that you actually grow in that. And you may have ideas and innovations, but they need to come to life. So give you the platform and the people that you can connect to and interact with. So yes, we are the Heroes for Change, and you can always reach out to us through our social media platforms and or through our website, and we'll be more than excited to interact with you. Now, let me just add something on the topic. So the topic is, of course, tapping into digital opportunities. And so we as Heroes for Change, we've not been left behind when it comes to just tapping into the digital opportunities out there. As an organization, and Washington mentioned this, that even organizations out here have also had to, leverage on digital platforms. And so how have we as Heroes been able to do that? So all our operations from recruitment. Now, I know most of the participants in this webinar are probably our heroes. And so they know they joined Heroes for Change through application, which was online. And so we've digitalized everything. Everything is digital, from the application, from the recruitment, to the interviews, to the training. We even did an online training as well. And even the reporting of the work that they do on the ground is all online. And so we do this because we know digital platforms are able to connect us together. Like the digital tools, you can connect one person to the other so fast. And we have you as the heroes, for example, who are really passionate about bringing social impact in your communities. And so how do we connect you to the people that actually need that? We can use digital platforms in that. And also, as someone mentioned, the young people especially are very active on the social media platforms and digital tools. And so that's actually a resource that we can also leverage on. So being that the young people who are tech savvy and all that, they're able to implement the programs in a very cost-effective way, and we're able to reach as many people like the numbers I was sharing with you. And of course, the final thing is that our young people are also very, very ambitious in the sense that they're looking for information out here. And so we always encourage them to, even as you do your volunteer, you volunteer and reach out to communities. There is more you can do for yourself, and in this era of of the internet, there is no excuse. Like, you shouldn't give an excuse of that you don't know anything. That will be an excuse, because everything is at a touch of a button. In the past, we used to go to libraries. Nowadays, not so many people go to libraries because you can unlock all the books you need online. And so that makes it much easier. And so once you've made the decision that this is what you want to do, it's so important that you unlock the necessary training in that regard. And the digital platforms are there, the ones that are being shared from LinkedIn to the other platforms that can actually train you and just make sure that you're fit to pursue your dream as in the digital spaces. So yes, and we keep we just keep growing as young people together, and even in the innovations that you try to come up with, we connect with you and try to just amplify that. So thank you so much, and we look forward to doing this even more often. And this is our last webinar for the year. We've been doing this webinar from August. We started in August, and we just want to see what impact can we create online. And of course, it was just not because of COVID. I know most people had to change how they do things because of COVID. But I think for us, it was very intentional. We really needed to do this to connect young people across different spaces and just share ideas and see how they can grow together. And so this was very intentional, and we've been able to achieve so much so far, and been able to do a number of webinars. And now, this being the last one for this year, you can only expect bigger and better webinars in the coming year. So we just need to take time and now strategize and just see what really, like what you want to be served with in terms of topics of discussion and all that. So we will be sharing some sort of a survey form where you will just let us know what topics you want to interact with moving forward, what kind of speakers will really excite you and all that, so that we get to hear from you, so that moving forward, the webinar serves you even better than what we've been doing before. So yes, we hope to see you again in January. Of course, we'll be sharing all the information about what's next on our social media platforms. But you are always welcome to connect with us and share your feedback. We're always excited to hear from you. So yes, I guess it's now time to say Merry Christmas, though it doesn't feel like December. I know you've probably been stuck in the house, but trust me, Christmas is like, today's 25th. That means, 25th of next month is actually Christmas. So yeah, the year is coming to an end. And so we have to be ready for the year ahead, and just, have a lovely Christmas, Merry Christmas, and let's keep talking. So I'll give it back to Christabel to just wrap it up. But thank you so much for always showing up for the webinars, and we look forward to more conversations.
Thank you so much, Eliud, for that. To know more about the Heroes for Change, you can contact us on Heroes for Change on Facebook. We're across all digital platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can follow us as Heroes for Change to engage with our content, to engage with opportunities, and even on YouTube to get a recording of all these webinars that we've been having since August. So make sure you check them out. And if you have any speaker suggestion, as Eliud had said, topic that you feel like we need to really echo much to the young people, you can contact us on H4C, that is H4cwebinar@gmail.com. And thank you so much, our wonderful panelists, for the resource that we shared. And that will bring us to the end of this session, and have a lovely afternoon and a lovely week ahead. And stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Asante sana. Bye.